The Comfort Suites of Grayslake, Illinois made a shocking discovery in March of 2016. The hotel was raided by police after an anonymous tip told police that a hotel room was being used to produce methamphetamines, heroin, marijuana, prescription pills, and items used to manufacture meth. When police arrived at the hotel, the suspect was arrested, the hotel was evacuated, and the two pit bulls that were set in place as guard dogs by the suspect were taken away. Police also learned that the suspect refused room service for about a week in order to avoid discovery. In an effort to get an insider's view of the case, we decided to try and interview members of the hotel. And here's how it went. We're just wondering if you could get some pictures and footage of the hotel. As you can see, information on the case was not as easy to obtain. Therefore, the research and interviews in the preceding parts of the video are the most we could get.
The suspect was a 40-year-old white male who formerly was involved in martial arts and car sales. Although his crime was discovered in Grayslake, he is originally from Palatine. Other than that, not much is known about the suspect or his history. In September of 2016, he pleaded guilty and was charged with possession of methamphetamine manufacturing material, possession of methamphetamines, unlawful participation in methamphetamine manufacturing, unlawful possession of a controlled substance, and possession of false identification. He was given 15 months of periodic imprisonment with work release. He is currently on probation, and nothing more is surfaced about his whereabouts or recent criminal activity.
To try and discover more information regarding the case, we decided to schedule an interview with Officer Madden of the Grayslake Police Department. Although the Grayslake Police Department were not first responders to the scene, they were still aware of the situation, and Officer Madden was open to answering any of our questions regarding the incident.
What were your thoughts on the culprit that made the meth in the hotel?
Meth is a very dangerous drug, and it's a very dangerous drug to make. It put a lot of lives in danger, so obviously it was a horrible situation.
How long was the meth lab running for?
I had no idea. Just got word of it that night.
How does one take down a meth lab? What is the cleanup process?
Well, usually law enforcement will be made aware of it by tips, or odors, or possibly an explosion or something like that. And say there's like a search warrant or something like that, or arrest warrant, they would serve the search warrant. But if they found something like that, it's very volatile, and they'd have to call for outside agencies that are better able and equipped to handle that type of situation. It's a hazmat type thing.
To get a closer look at the drug scene in Grayslake and how residents feel about it, we also conducted some live interviews with current residents of Grayslake. To what extent is there a drug issue in Grayslake?
It's funny that I only work here, but from what I've heard, sometimes there's some big issues that kind of show up. We've heard about some situations from time to time with drug busts in the neighborhood or in the hotel earlier this summer. So we are not as it's not as involved as other communities, but it seems to be more of a growing problem as each year passes.
I don't think the drug problem in Grayslake is as bad as it is in other places, but it's definitely enough of an issue to where something needs to be done about it. I mean, you hear every once in a while about pretty serious drug use and people selling drugs in places around Grayslake and the surrounding area. And clearly, with the two high schools and the middle schools that are in this area, I think it's something that needs to be addressed. That being said, I don't know if it's something that's going to debilitate our town by any means, but I do think that it's something that, again, we need to do something about and think about why it's happening here.
Drugs are a problem virtually everywhere in the United States, but heavy drugs seem to be on the rise and are becoming more and more accessible. Even in Lake County, heavy drugs such as heroin, meth, opioids, and prescription pills are an epidemic. In January 2017, the Lake County News-Sun published an article that stated, last year the sheriff's office was responsible for saving 14 lives using naloxone, and if the start of the 2017 is any indication, the opioid epidemic might be increasing. In 2016, deputies saved 2 people in January and didn't have another save until March. Due to the increasing rate of drug abuse in Lake County, we also decided to ask Officer Madden questions regarding drugs in general and the precautions law enforcement take when fighting to prevent untimely deaths or the spread of drug abuse across the country.
Is there a drug problem in Grayslake?
There's a drug problem everywhere. I don't know if you've heard about a lot of deaths and stuff in Lake County and surrounding counties from heroin use or opiates. All officers are being trained, to administer Narcan to save lives. It helps reverse the effects of an opiate. And a lot of athletes and stuff get injured, and they end up getting hooked on their prescription medications. And some of those prescription medications are opiates, and they can't get them legally anymore because they're not in pain. Now they're just addicted. And so they turn to heroin, which is much cheaper.
All in all, the drug scene of Grayslake was taken to the public eye just last year with the discovery of the meth lab and the comfort suites. However, an epidemic is continuing to rise in Lake County and all over the United States. The problem is bigger than Grayslake. Precautions and preventative programs are being set in place, and hopefully the rise of heavy drugs will soon flatline.